It's pretty safe to say that the Judgment's release has been very controversial to say the least, as we finally got a very complex killer with a lot of potential in the PTB, only for that killer to be nerfed on release, with one of the nerfs causing a lot of drama in the community. So, from live to PTB, the Judgment received 4 important changes to take note of. One of the changes is related to the add-ons, which is a topic for another day, as I haven't done all my testing yet. The other change is a buff, as now downing survivors will reveal their location with Killer Instinct, and if you miss very close from a survivor, it will also showcase them with Killer Instinct. Overall, these 2 aspects of Judgment have been buffed, as the add-ons are much better for the most part, and the feedback you get when using the power is improved. However, Judgment also got 2 nerfs, one of which is very significant, and the other not so much, but it's the one that the community has talked about the most. Of course, I am talking about the curve timer from the Zealous mode, going from 0.5 to 0.3, and the extended aura of the Divine Pillar to allow survivors more heads up to dodge the beam. So let's talk about that. So first of all, let's talk about the one nerf that I am sure will be changed soon in a hotfix. The Zealous Curve Reduction. According to the devs, they wanted to set a specific number on it instead of making it on the duration you use the Divine Light in order to make it much more consistent. The logic is sound, as a set number allows you to memorize the curve with muscle memory easier. However, the numbers the devs set it on is 0.3 seconds. This means that curving is now only possible to micro-adjust your Divine Light, but not to do crazy angles with it. Examples of this is flicking the light when you see the survivors dodging from up close, doing crazy 180 flicks in order to attempt to spawn the light on top of a survivor, and using it to adjust your angle when sniping from afar. However, in the PTB, this curve was basically a range hillbilly curve, allowing players to do U-turns and S-turns, as you can see in the examples here, where you can basically hit survivors behind you using these curves. It increased their skill ceiling by quite a lot and allowed them a new way of using the power, which attracted many players. Now, on live, these hits that you saw before are impossible to hit by curving. Instead, you need to flick your Divine Light beforehand, and then cast the beam in a straight line. So instead of thinking of a U movement, it's more like a very closed V. Doing it this way also makes it impossible to hit any S-curves at all. So overall, this is a negative to this killer. Lucky for us, the devs already specified publicly that the number they chose was just a number to test the curves out, and that they themselves know that the value is low. All that is needed is for us to give the feedback to the devs that the curve is too limiting, as I am convinced this is not going to be a problem and will happen soon, just like the small changes that were given to Henry and Trickster. So expect to see the curve return in the hotfix that will nerf Vigil once for all. And now for what is by far the most controversial part of this video, the Divine Light visuals. And yes, I am referring to the now infamous visual vignette for streamers to know they are being aimed at with Divine Light. So as you probably already noticed by now, if you use aura builds on Judgment, this killer shoots up straight to S tier because of how insane the pressure of this killer is when you know the location of survivors and can harass them from afar. This playstyle of constantly sniping survivors and not doing any chase is something that no other killer in the game can do to the extent of Judgment. Not even Artist, and not even the best Jason or Hunter's main can do that. What is important is how Judgment goes from a killer that is insanely hard to use to a killer that I honestly consider brain dead, as all you have to do is point and click on the survivor aura. By calling Judgment brain dead, I know I triggered some players, and they will claim that if survivors are not dodging the beams, they are either streamers being distracted, or people gunning to Sable's feet, or the MMR reset doing its thing. Well, the thing I found with Judgment is a trick that was already present in the PTB, and is something I abused quite heavily in order to win a match without moving, and that's what I'd like to call edging. So, as it currently is, Judgment has 2 components to its power. First, they have to aim a reticle that moves forwards towards the survivors, and then you can cast the Divine Light, which shoots up fast and does damage. And this is the big problem I have seen various content creators fail at. What I've noticed many players do is either instantly casting the beam when up close, or aiming it a bit for the gen and casting the Divine Light from afar. And this is a bad idea. The reason why is because when you insta-cast the beam, it starts very slow at the beginning instead of having fast speed like when it's charged. And by casting the beam from far away, you are giving survivors too much of a heads up to dodge, and the reason why is because the Divine Light is visible from much further and significantly louder compared to the reticle of the Divine Light. So, if Judgment is shooting the Divine Light, the aura can be seen from 48 meters away. However, if Judgment is aiming closer to you with the reticle, the aura is only visible from much closer. Not only that, the reticle is not shown at all at the beginning of the cast behind walls, allowing you to hit very lethal mid-range shots that are basically unreactable as there is no visual tail at all. This is why, on indoor maps, you will see the Divine Light only when it's casted, but you will not see the reticle unless you are very close. What I found is very effective as this killer is to wait until the reticle is somewhere in mid-range to the survivors and then shoot the beam, as the reticle is visually smaller, has less of an intense sound that puts the survivors on alert, and most importantly, the aura of the reticle is shown for a shorter range than the aura of the Divine Light. If you are on an indoors map where you're using your beam to snipe survivors in mid-range, you can cast the beam when it does damage and survivors will only have a sound cue to react. These types of beams are straight up impossible to dodge without preemptively assuming the beam is coming to you and dodging. This also means any survivor that is deaf, has music playing, or are not fully locked in will get a hit, because you have to dodge the beam before the beam is even casted. Hiding your beam behind walls in order to prevent survivors from seeing it from afar has been very effective for me, even against survivors that were cracked at the beginning. In this example, you can see how the Trevor was able to dodge the beam easily as they had a long warning before it came to them and they sent the beam to an open area. Now, in the exact same match against the exact same competent survivor, I guide my beam by hiding it inside the main building from a weird angle Trevor didn't expect, and this beam was a guaranteed hit on him. Now here is another example of how to use the beam correctly. In this clip, I see the survivors all the way back with my aura reveal, and they are healing behind the concrete beams of Lake Mine. I drop down to hide my beam using those concrete beams from the back and edge it until the Divine Light is close to the survivors, which allows me to get a double hit and end the match. This is how this hit looks like from a survivor's POV. As you can see or heard, there was barely any audio indication that the beam was coming towards them. The reticle only showed for 0.3 seconds and the survivors had less than a second to cancel their healing animation and start running to dodge the beam. The only way to dodge this beam is to assume that the Judgment, who is literally on the other side of the map, has seen your aura and the beam is approaching, just like I did on the clip because I knew the beam was coming towards me. Another example is this hit against Jake Park, who was absolutely dominating me during normal chases, as this survivor was decent and showed obvious understanding of how my power works. I see Jake both healing behind the wall with nurses calling, and so I charge my attack and immediately release it when it can do damage. This is how it looks like from the survivor's POV. And as you can see, or should I say not see, there was no visual indication at all that the beam was coming their way, and the only indicator was sound, meaning if any of them have problems hearing, this beam is unreactable. I even did some tests where I played with my game volume down and I knew the beam was coming towards me, so I was ready to dodge, and the hits were straight up humanly unreactable. Now remember, in all these examples and tests of the Judgment beams coming to me, I knew the beam was coming towards me at all times. I was aware that Judgment knows my position, and I knew that the moment I heard the sound of the Divine Light, I had to dodge, so I had a timing advantage over a normal player. Not only that, in these clips, Judgment was not using the add-ons that increase the size of the beam, which I did use in my normal matches, and they also didn't try to hit me assuming I was going to dodge. Instead, they were shooting at the center of the generator. If you think you can dodge any of these hits, you are probably right, because you have the power of retrospective. I told you the beams are coming and to pay close attention to the sound. I showed you that Judgment knows where you are. In a normal match, where you are playing as a survivor, you will be hearing the sound of the Divine Light constantly because Judgment will be chasing other survivors. You will even see in the HUD that Judgment is chasing someone else. There is a chance that you simply don't hear the beam coming to you because your survivor, or the one you're healing, is grunting in pain. Your generator has a lot of progress, you get a skill check while doing your action, or you simply didn't guess where Judgment was the moment they are sending the beam, and then, out of nowhere, you will be hit, with no indication of a tear radius, no indication that the killer saw your aura unless you're an object of obsession, and so, against a competent Judgment player who is running aura builds with Nurse's Calling, Gearhead, Celestial Witness with Nemesis, or the blue add-on that reveals the aura of survivors after exiling someone, the only way to counter the snipes is to 1. Have the volume of your game up in order to hear the beam behind walls and try to pinpoint its direction. 2. Assume that at all times, if you hear the sound of the divine light close, the beam is coming towards you. 3. Preemptively leave the generator or cancel the heal the moment you hear the sound of the divine light in order to dodge. And 4. Drop anything you are doing in order to avoid a mid-range cast if you hear the beam and you are also inside the tear radius. And this is how you can completely bypass the nerf that the devs applied to this power, because as long as you cast your beam closer than 48 meters, the nerf does nothing. This is where I have to open a discussion with you, the viewer, because if you ask me, there is an accessibility problem with Judgment and aura builds. Simply put, if you know what you're doing with Judgment and you're using a snipe build with aura reading, you can abuse these shots with her and there is almost no reaction time possible for survivors to dodge the beam. Alright, so as part of the video, I wanted to show you some of these mid-range shots that I claimed on my video were unreactable, like that one for example. If he falls, perfect. He was messed up. Okay, Gearhead is active. We see one person there, another person there. We're gonna exile. We're gonna come from a weird angle if we can, because that generator is exposed. And here we're gonna try to do a mid-range shot. So let's see if it works. 1, 2, 3. No, they left. Okay, but we know that. Maybe we can use this to advantage. Okay, let's try. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. We got the V. But we know where they are. Okay, so let's try get a mid-range shot on this V. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Now let's try to get a shot on this. Who is it? Yui. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Let's try to get a mid-range shot on the Dwight. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we curved it a bit late. These survivors looked decent. Not gonna lie. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. That's a good whip shot. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. We got a very long range snipe. That's good. And honestly, we should go there. Perfect. We got a hit. Oh, that's... we did it like way too far. Okay, we see them again. Let's see if my memory was correct. 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe now? Yes. Let's go there. Right, we see them here. This could be a triple hit. Perfect, we got that white. We didn't get all of them. Oh, okay, we see the Nancy. All the way there. V is supposed to be somewhere here, maybe? Nice, that's a good hit. We use the Killer Instinct to see that. We are, again, not going to... oh, it's a mistake. Perfect. What a good whip. Holy. Okay, you know what? We can actually win this here. Right here, right now. If we find it... we know where Nancy is. Okay, so all of them are now exiled. We see her with Celestial Witness. And let's try to win this now. 1, 2, 3. And we won. GG's. Alright, so we get another match with another pretty big main building on the middle that might hide our shots. However, the problem here is that this entire part of the map is pretty exposed. So, let's try. Now, okay, so these survivors are more locked in than before. Alright, so we finally see someone. Let's try to do a long range snipe, okay? So, 1, 2, 3. Mid-range shot. And there we go. That's how you do these kinds of shots. And again, check this out. They are in the shack. Mid-range shot. Boom. Oh, we got them double. That's funny. And we see another person. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. Middle shot. Boom. Yeah, and these people were more locked in. There is a big ass tower here. So, again, mid-range shot. 1, 2, 3. Now. There we go. So these shots that I'm doing, the ones that I'm counting, are basically humanly unreactable. Oh, that could have been cool for the showcase. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Now. Perfect. Oh, and there is someone there. we see on main building. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Unreactable. And we got a double hit. That's crazy. Hey, for free. But yeah, I'm consistently hitting shots. So my question is, are all of these survivors streamers? What is going on? Why am I hitting all the shots? And in fact, now that I've shown you shots that hit, let me do to you a favor and let me show you what I'm seeing a lot of streamers do. Boom. Oh, I found it. That's an insane mid-range shot. Okay, so here is what survivors do incorrectly, okay? They aim, and they shoot now. And this is wrong. They are gonna dodge, you see. So that survivor dodged, right? Let's just try to down this Sable. And remember, that survivor dodged before. So let's see now. Mid-range shot. See, that Nancy dodged before. She didn't now. She was not locked in. Another mid-range shot. Boom! That's unreactable. That is unreactable. If I knew where the aura of the other survivor was, like the direction they were healing, and this is a choke point. So yeah, that's an easy hit because it's a choke point here. Okay, I mean, we can chase this, Jill. We're gonna do a curve shot with the 0.3, activate back Gearhead, reactivate Zealous as well, by the way. And the Nemesis special witness activated. Where are they? There. So check this out. Mid-range shot. Again. 1, 2, 3. Now. Good. Okay. The Dwight is locked in. We're gonna try put ourselves in a better position to hit that Dwight. Okay. They are now reacting based on sound. So see, everyone is reacting immediately. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a mid-range shot, maybe. There we go. Perfect. That Dwight, who was locked in before, he was dodging all my shots. He still didn't predict it. You see. And now that Sable, she's gonna get hit by a mid-range shot too. Boop! If only. I beat earlier. And it's easy to do. It's not that hard. It's not like a secret technique. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. Here. Boom. That's unreactable. I'm telling you, I'm calling it before the shots. Because here, I know that Nancy is using sound and using probably visuals. She was locked in. Maybe she knew I was coming this way. Because my aura is super visible from there. So she was looking here. But the moment they hit it from a weird angle, this Nancy, who was dodging my shots, suddenly, I don't know. Am I just playing against streamers? Is that it? Mid-range shot? And that's it again. Alright, let's try to do the mid-range shots, this time with my mic actually on. And let's see what we can do. See, so one of the survivors is already locked in. Why? Because they have the perk Distortion. So that's why we cannot see their aura, but we know that they are there. So check this out. Mid-range shot. 1, 2, 3. There we go. That is unreactable. There was no visual tell that I was aiming here. They had to assume that I was aiming here. Check this out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, they saw my beam because here it's exposed. But check this out. I'm gonna do the same thing to that survivor, but this time in close range, and you will see what happens. Oh, and we can actually do something cheesy. Look at this. Boom, there we go. We used this to make our beam go down. And check this out. Remember that guy and how they were capable of dodging my beams? Okay, we're gonna assume that they have a... almost. We're gonna assume that they have an object of obsession. And now check this out. We're gonna do the exact same thing, but this time it's gonna be a mid-range shot using the main building to hide our beam. There we go. See, that same guy that was earlier locked in, they knew I was here. They couldn't do shit to me. We've hit everyone at least once. We're gonna do a white shot here. There we go. You see, I knew she was gonna dodge. Check this. Check that out. We don't know who that is. Oh, we do know. Okay, so we see two people. We see someone there, and we know there's someone here. Since this is a bit close, we're gonna move over here, so the beam comes from a weird angle that maybe that survivor won't expect, and we're gonna do a mid-range shot again. Boom, and there we go. How do you react to that? There is no way. You have to, as a survivor, the only way to react to that shot, the mid-range shot, is to assume that the beam is coming towards your direction, and that's what I'm trying to prove. This killer has accessibility issues. Again, remember, we shot them once. We're gonna hide ourselves using this main building. We're gonna find a weird angle to hit them from, so they expect the beam to come from this direction, right? But it's gonna come from here. Check this out. Boop. That should be a mid-range hit. Again, same story. We literally shot earlier. Right? We know that Ace is there. They probably have object of obsession. We're gonna use the main building to hide it. And check this out. We're gonna try to do a mid-range shot again. Boom! There we go. We're gonna use this under elevation to hit that person. 1, 2, 3. That is unreactable. That is unreactable. Because there was no tell. There was absolutely no tell. And let's do a mid-range shot to that ace, just in case. There we go. We hit the ace. That ace is locked in. They were constantly looking. Okay, oh, that Sable has conviction. That sucks. Alright. Mid-range shot. Boom! Unreactable. Again, I started doing that because I knew that ace was removing the heresy. Nah, I did it too early. We're gonna do this shit again. Maybe she's behind. There we go. We predicted that she was behind this pillar. So, we're gonna exile. Celestial Witness is gonna activate. Probably on Aurora. Okay, and check this out. Mid-range shot. 1, 2, 3. Boom! That should be unreactable. Boom, there we go. We hit someone because I aimed it a bit on the right. Oh, but this Sable played so poorly. Holy. Alright. We're gonna get it down and check this out. Again, mid-range shot. 1, 2, 3. There we go. There we go. Easy. Oh, I forgot. Okay, we're gonna wait for soul guards. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we know where 2 people are. We're gonna do this. Not far away. Come on. There we go. Perfect. And we know there's someone here. Interesting. Okay, we're gonna kill this. No, exile this survivor. Sorry. Now we have everyone on the third. We're gonna kick this gen. And if there is a survivor on that gen, we're gonna kick them. Check this out. So let's see. We're gonna wait, we're gonna wait, we're gonna wait. There is 1, 2, 3. Unreactable shot. Oh, unreactable shot. I'm telling you, there is no visual tell, nothing. Oh, that's very smart. Okay, I mean, we're gonna stand here. It's very easy to hit you. Like, oh, check this out. Check this out, check this out. Double hit. Mid-range shot. 1, 2, 3. Now the beam appears. Boom, she's dead. And Ace is here. So check this out again. We're gonna aim back. 1, 2, 3. Boom. Oh, almost. Okay, this Ace can hear us perfectly. But it doesn't matter. We're gonna kill this Aurora. We know where Ace is. So it's all chill. There we go. And we see where the Ace is. 1, 2, 3. Mid-range shot. There we go. Easy. There is no tell. It's only sound. That's why I got him. It turns out that the Ace is a fan of the channel. And hello, Ace. So I asked them, was it easy to react to my shots? And they said that it depended. Sometimes you did this thing where after exile, oh, I guess the lobby ended. After exile, you curve them right on us. That basically killed my reaction time. Before the exile buff, you get it's manageable. Distance you spawn them, how close they are to us, and the curves, yeah. And if you saw the video, you saw that basically I didn't curve the beams almost at all. Most of my shots that I called the mid-range shots, they were straight lines. So there was no curving at all. There's a radius buff too in Zealous mode must be then as well, which is technically correct, but by default I already have this with this add-on. So yeah, as you can see, it was hard to call out. They were even in a swift, and yeah, the early game where you just hung out in the temple and shot 3 people was basically unreactable. We were on comms calling our location, but it was way too hard. Maybe better teams can. So we have a swift here that was literally coming my location, and still I did the beams to the point where it was unreactable. I'm just saying.